Hello everyone, today we will talk about three words, and as you know already from the title of this video, they are apathy, sympathy and empathy. Now these words are kind of very similar to one another, and that's exactly why they might confuse you. So today we will learn what's the difference among them along with a few example sentences. So let's first start with apathy. Apathy means lack of interest or concern, lack of motivation or emotion. It actually means indifference. For example, in the next few minutes, apathy took the place of enthusiasm. In the next few moments, apathy took the place of enthusiasm. Or you can also say, the general apathy towards politics is not unreasonable. The general apathy towards politics is not unreasonable. Now you can see from these two sentences that apathy signifies an indifference to something. In the first sentence, indifference took the place of enthusiasm. It means people used to be full of enthusiasm, but then after some time they became indifferent. In the second sentence, as you can see, the general apathy towards politics is not unreasonable. It means that if people choose to be indifferent to politics, well, their indifference is not unreasonable. It's kind of reasonable, considering the things happen in politics. Now let's take a look at what sympathy means. Sympathy means to feel pity or sorrow for someone else's misfortune. You know, to feel bad for someone else's suffering or distress. For example, the last thing she needed was anything but sympathy. The last thing she needed was anything but sympathy. It means that she doesn't need sympathy right now. You can say that sympathy is actually the last thing she needs. It's another way of saying that it's something that she does not need. Let's take another example. His sympathy only made matters worse. His sympathy only made matters worse. Sometimes it can happen, you know. You sympathize with someone and things get worse. Now let's talk about what empathy means. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's point of view, the feelings and the emotional state of another person. Basically, it's to imagine what it would be like if you were in that position. For example, ever since the accident, she had been incapable of empathy. Ever since the accident, she had been incapable of empathy. It means ever since that accident happened, she has been incapable of empathy. You know, she is not able to understand another one's point of view. She is not in a condition to be able to feel someone else's feelings or understand what they mean. Or you can also say, he simply responded out of empathy. He simply responded out of empathy. It means he probably felt something, and whatever he said in response was out of empathy. It was basically because of empathy. He suddenly started feeling empathetic to someone else's feelings or their emotional state, and he responded out of empathy. Let's take another sentence. You can also say, complete lack of empathy needs to be overcome. Complete lack of empathy needs to be overcome. Now, it's true, it needs to be overcome, but it's not something that you can just treat. Let's just say it's a bit more deep than that. Now that we have looked at all the definitions and the example sentences containing these words, if you still feel confused, if you still feel like you are not yet clear about the whole thing, then let me sum it all up for you. Apathy is you don't feel anything at all. It's complete lack of motivation or emotion, like it said in the definition of the word. So you don't feel anything. Now apathy is mostly used in a negative sense, as you don't really feel anything. It's complete lack of emotion or complete lack of motivation. But sympathy and empathy, these are used in positive sense. So you can say in a sense that they are opposites of each other. Let's say sympathy. Let's talk about sympathy now. Now sympathy is you feel sorry for someone else. You feel sorry for someone else's misfortune or their suffering or distress. You feel bad for them. That's sympathy. Now empathy is something even stronger than sympathy. You basically see yourself in that position. You understand what happened with that person, and now you feel deeply for them. You feel deeply for their misfortune. In fact, you feel so deeply for them that you might even do something to alleviate their suffering. So that's it. That's actually, if you look at it in this order, like apathy, sympathy and empathy, you can say that apathy is lack of any feelings, absolutely no feelings at all. Sympathy is when you feel bad for them, you feel that okay, something wrong happened, you're sorry for them. But empathy is you basically imagine yourself in that position, you feel so bad for them that you might even try and do something to alleviate their suffering. So yeah, that's it. That's all the differences among these words, and I hope now you understand what these words are and why they are different and how they are different. So in fact, there is one more thing that I think I would like to mention here, that is, among all these three words, there is one word that you will find more often. You will use this more often. In fact, you will see this around you more often than the other two words, that is sympathy. Now, because it's very common, and I'm sure you must have already used it in your speaking and writing. So sympathy is very common. It's more common than apathy and empathy. Now, about sympathy, I can say that you have sympathy for someone, you can sympathize with someone, and you can also be sympathetic to someone. Now, I used sympathy and its three forms, in its noun form, in its verb form, and in its adjective form. And as you could see in these three sentences, all these three words are followed by three different prepositions. Now, it is something that sometimes confuse people, but still you need to know that how they are used, and I hope it might help you in the future. So that's it for today, guys. If you think that this video was somehow helpful to you and you could learn something new, something that will help you in the future, then do give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. That would literally make my day. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.